A smooth downsizing journey starts by knowing what could go wrong. Today, we're going to talk about the dirty side of downsizing and what are the 5 mistakes you want to avoid. If you're a senior considering downsizing for retirement or maybe resizing for the right size home, this video is for you. If you don't know me, I'm Gina Wakeham, and I'm a real estate advisor here in beautiful Victoria, BC, where I help buyers and sellers achieve a successful purchase or sale through education, strategy, and modern marketing. And I'm with eXp Realty and the Wakeham Davies Group. If you or someone you know is thinking about downsizing, please feel free to reach out to me. My details are in the description box below. I'm happy to return your email. I'm happy to set up a phone call. And if you need help and you are not within my area, please let me know. I have a network of eXp agents that I'm more than happy to have a discussion with you and see who we could set you up with. But let's get into it. Now, I touched on this first one in the video I did prior to this about the 3 pillars of downsizing. It's overestimating the value of your home. And that's very easy to understand. A lot of sellers are emotionally attached to their home, or maybe they're not using the correct data to assess their home. But in order to move forward accurately, you do want to know what the right value of your home is. And you're better to underestimate it and be exceedingly pleased than to overestimate it. And then you thought you were going to buy a new car and travel first class. And then you find out that the equity that you're probably going to end up with is not what you planned. Most homeowners don't spend the amount of time someone like myself would in great detail finding the value of a home. So when I'm speaking to a seller and I'm going to give them a comparative market analysis and I'm going to tell them a range of what their home should be, I am spending hours on the computer. Sometimes I'm going to the houses. Sometimes I'm booking showings or going to open houses to really define every detail, because while you might think, oh, I'm similar to that house up the street, maybe they've made certain changes. Maybe they put in an HVAC system. Maybe they have repaired their roof and you haven't. Maybe their lot is a certain size. And do you know how much value to put on whether a property does or doesn't have a bathroom or a bedroom or a double car garage? Over and over, you're going to hear me say, start your process way before you really need to downsize. So before you need to actually list your home, start the process early out. The value can change slightly. That's understandable, but you want to start with a good idea of where you think you will land and what you have to spend moving forward. You know what you could purchase, or you also know what good fun things you could spend the money on if you want to do that, or give some to your family, or whatever it is that you want to do. The other thing you want to do to help that process is speak to your lender or your mortgage broker. You want to find out exactly where you are with how much equity you will hopefully be moving forward from. The second mistake you want to avoid is underestimating the costs of moving. That is going to include a lot of things. It might include packers, movers, cleaners. You're going to have to reroute your mail, so you probably have to change your address. You might have to get new equipment for your internet. You are going to have to pay the agency for selling your home. There's going to be a lot of costs. Your agent should be able to give you like a detailed breakdown of what those costs will be, so that as you move forward through each step, you can keep track and also Just start with a general idea, but be very aware of all the costs associated. Are you going to be scanning photos? There's a cost. Are you going to be having someone drop a disposal bin in your driveway because you're going to be discarding a bunch of items? There's a cost. Make sure you get as much clarity of all of the costs involved so that there are no surprises. Number 3, keeping too much stuff. Now, decluttering, organizing, donating, selling, it is all a huge process. And if you feel a little overwhelmed, ask family, ask friends, get professionals recommended to you by your real estate agent. But don't underestimate how difficult the process is, how time consuming it is, and how much stuff you might have. I have clients, they were downsizing from a 4,500 square foot home to something smaller. And when they took me down to look at the crawl space, I almost passed out. The crawl space was about 1/3 of the entire bottom floor square footage. And I'm going to say 4 feet high. You could kind of crawl around under there without being on your hands and knees. There was stuff. I couldn't believe the stuff. 4 Christmas trees, broken barbecues, baby clothes. I get it. You had children, but maybe just hold on to a couple pairs of booties, maybe not all the clothes. Games, books, camping gear. They don't camp anymore. Ski gear. They don't ski anymore. And the stuff was endless. It took hours. It was such a long process to go through, but they did it. They donated, they upcycled, they recycled, they sold some items, and then they kept some items. But just don't underestimate the cost and time associated with it. And for the love of Lord, and whatever you do, try to avoid putting things in a storage locker. You might have heard me mention, if you have a room or spaces in your current house that you're just not using, then take those items, put them in there. If you don't open the door and you don't use those for 90 days or a month or even probably 2 months, you probably don't need them. And the reality is it's costly. And do you really see yourself going there with your sore hip, your bad back in the dark and the cold, and you're going into a storage space and you're going to be digging through the boxes and you can't figure out which one is in because they weren't all perfectly labeled and the labels may be on the top and you're looking at the box from the side and you're like, where's that set of dishes? That's just probably not going to ever happen. Take the stuff you need, give gratitude to the other items that served you, and then try to let them go. You're just going to simplify your life. Keep the things that are important, and some things, if you can't take them, even take a picture of them. And then you can at least have a picture of the picture if you're not keeping a picture, if you know what I mean. Number 4, I would say, is choosing the wrong community. Now, if you're a retiree, you probably might not want to be in a neighborhood that's full of very young, loud children. Maybe you will. Maybe you do. Maybe you like the sound of screaming and crying and people having fun. You might. I don't know. Sounds of street hockey, basketball. Do kids play street hockey anymore? I mean, I can't just tell if they're always on their phones or if they actually go out and play, but you get the idea. If you are someone who likes to walk places, make sure you pick somewhere that has a good walk score. Make sure that if you want to go swimming at the community center, there's one close by, or that you're close to the activities you want. Or perhaps you like being in a strata. Maybe you want to be in a gated community or a small knit community of townhomes that are mostly retirees. Or, for example, in the Greater Victoria area, we do have buildings and communities that are 55 plus. Which is sad because I'm way past 55 and I used to think that was like for really old people, but now I'm just like, how is it so young? How did they make that cutoff so young when it just used to feel so old? It's not old anymore. Take the time to research the area that you're looking at. Do not move into some area you are going to regret because you're not going to get up and move within 6 or 8 months or a year. You're going to be stuck there. Find the right area. Number 5, you want to make your decisions based on a clear path and not fear. If you're thinking, oh, the market might crash, that's not a reason to do it. You don't know. You don't want to be reacting. You want to be actively deciding how your future is going to unfold. And when you make quick decisions out of fear or lack of time, you're just probably not going to make the best decision that you could make. Same with reacting emotionally to situations. It might create a scenario where you're reacting too quickly. And that can be difficult, especially if you've lost a loved one or, you're retiring, which seems scary. But just be aware of emotions and take your time to think it through. Maybe talk to family and friends if you're feeling a little bit unsure, if you get nervous or scared or anxious. Talk to the people around you, talk to your agent, and get some guidance. A thoughtful and unrushed approach is going to lead to a far better outcome, less stress, less money, less wear and tear on your emotions, and you will be far happier. Moving forward with clarity and a specific game plan is going to lead to a successful outcome. Please check out the description box below. You'll find a link to a downloadable guide that is a great follow-up to this video. If you've hung in here long enough to watch this whole video, I hope you will give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. It'll just save you for looking to see if new videos have come out in the future. I'm Gina Wakeham with eXp Realty and the Wakeham Davies Group. I thank you for watching. I want you to have an exceptional, successful downsizing journey. I look forward to you watching the next video.